Welcome back, everyone, to our weekly video series. I'm Peyton, and I am joined by Yaila and Corey. And today we are talking about such a fun topic. We are going to be talking about how to find your soul's path. So many people right now are feeling like their life just doesn't fit them anymore, but they're not really sure what to do about that or what direction to move in. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how you can find your way in your life forward in a way that just resonates with your soul a little more, feels a little more authentic, a little more like you. So today I would like to start with you, Yaila. How do you help your clients and your students who just want to connect more with something that just makes them happy in their life?
Yeah, this is such a big question. I think that a lot of us, you're not really taught how to find your soul path. We're kind of brought up to you do XYZ to get this type of outcome, and that's just how it is. But for finding your soul path, it's so unique to each person. And I know, speaking of my journey, it took twists and turns and things that I thought was going to have happen didn't, and things that felt in alignment expanded and moved in different directions. So, my guidance to my students and my clients is follow your energy. Your body will never lie to you. Your mind will come up with all these different pros and cons and shoulds and shouldn'ts and others expectations that have been programmed into our space, but your body will never lie to you. So when you are on your own journey and you're starting to notice different levels of burnout, you're starting to notice your body feeling more tight, you have different physical ailments popping up. There's usually signs that your body is starting to show you that things are off. And so for your soul path, I think many times it can get confused that it has to be your career. For some people, their soul path does align with how they also make money. But I would put this out there and just say your soul path isn't always going to be your number one source of income, but it's what you are on this earth, what your soul feels called to be doing on the planet. And so for my journey, when I tried to follow what sounded good on paper or what was expected of me, or you should go here versus here, and this was other people's opinions on what I was capable of or not capable of, or where I could make the most money, I just wasn't very happy. And I went into total burnout. I lost my passion for things I wanted to be doing. When I was younger, I kind of always wanted to have my own business. My aunt had her own flower shop, and I thought it was the coolest thing. She was the only person I knew in my world that had her own business, but I didn't know what my business would be. And so I went to business school. I'm like, oh, I want a business, so I'm going to go to business school. Bored out of my mind. Like it took, most of the times I can rally myself to show up and be present. And I usually can learn something or glean something out of it. And of course I learned things, but I didn't interest me. I wasn't passionate about it. It didn't get me excited. The people that I was in classes with, it was just kind of okay. I didn't like talking about the subject. And so everything just felt super flat. That would be a number one sign that maybe something's not in alignment for you. My everything around me just felt like blah. Versus when I started studying nutrition and I was super excited about it. It was something that I was reading in my free time. I had like this natural passion towards. It was a natural curiosity. So when I think of finding your soul path, I really highly recommend just looking what your body is telling you. What gives you energy? What gives you a natural curiosity? What gets you excited? Do you see yourself enjoying the company that you'll be around? These are things that are really big things to look at versus, is it making you feel tired? Do you feel burnt out? Is it taking everything you have just to be present in the situation? Do you not even want to be around the people that it involves? I mean, these are big, what we're doing on a soul level, our soul path, people are going to be a piece of that. And so if you can see yourself enjoying this as your life, yes, there's always pros and cons to everything. There's ups and downs. That's not always going to be rainbows and sunshine. But if it's part of your soul path and something that you feel called to do, your contribution to the world in whatever way, shape, or form, follow that, because that's really, it's like following your bliss. What's going to make you happy and what makes you just feel alive? Because that's what it is, in my opinion, about being here on the planet. But how about you, Corey?
Well, finding soul's path. I loved, Yaila, the example, that you used when you were getting into nutrition, and how much you loved it. And that was the same for me. Even though doing makeup, in the film industry and working 16-hour days, from the time I left home to the time I came back, sometimes it was an 18, sometimes a 20-hour day. And yet I still felt energized. Yes, I was working hard and I was tired, but my soul was still lit up. And so, and I know that that was part of my soul path. I always say that life is process of elimination. You give something a try that you're interested in, and you either love it or you don't. Sometimes we choose something to do thinking it's our soul path, and it may not be our soul path, but we learned something along the way to get us onto our soul path. So I know that for me, that when I'm on my soul path, that I don't tire that easy. And now that I think about it, with the spiritual work, that it is a little different. Yes, there are times where I am very tired. And that's one of the things that I talk to my clients about, and certainly my students, because they don't understand why they're so tired. There's that one question of like, why am I so tired? I worked all my energy tools and I'm still just exhausted. And so when you're doing your soul purpose, or when you're in touch with your soul, we use different muscles in our brain, and it's nothing that we can really just walk through, like a walk in the park. It's a different type of communication with your soul. So I know that with some of my clients and students that, they could be on their soul's journey and still just be, really lit up and love it. And they could not be on their soul path and just drudge going to work every day. Or even if it's a hobby, sometimes finding your soul path is just a hobby that you start. And then it lights you up and you really enjoy it. And so to find our soul path, just try things. And it's life, process of elimination. You either like it or you don't like it. But if you don't try it, you don't know. And I think that it's been my experience that I've had several soul purposes in my life. Some of them I'm living at the same time. Sometimes, like I said, I've done makeup for 40 years. And it still lights me up. But I'm also now a clairvoyant. Well, I've always been a clairvoyant, but now I'm doing spiritual coaching and teaching, and and healing. And that too feels like my soul's purpose. So I think that we don't have to have just one soul purpose, because we're multidimensional. Why wouldn't we have more than one soul purpose? We've lived so many lives, most of us. And so incorporating all of that into the here and now, just having one soul purpose, so could be, but it's been my experience that, it's like, we have a career and then you retire and you go, what am I going to do with myself now? And then you find another purpose, soul purpose, that you've been longing to do. So the soul's path is, it's a windy road. It's never a straight road, But in the meantime, as you're doing all the things that you're just interested in, that's how you find your soul path. Because if you don't get out there and you don't try things, you don't learn what your soul path is. And we don't have to limit it to just one. So what do you think, Peyton?
I think this is such a great topic because I know so many of us, especially if you were kind of raised in a traditional mainstream background, this was not a question I was ever taught to even ask. When I was, deciding what career to go into, where to go with my life, the factors that you always considered is what is going to make me the most money, what is the most prestigious, and that's how I kind of steered my entire early life. With very just kind of mainstream priorities. And what that led to was me finding my way into a career that absolutely crushed my soul. And I had to find another way to navigate my life. And so one thing as I was kind of segueing out of my law career, which I had done for so long, was I realized I was going to need a whole new way to figure out how to move forward, because that whole logical, you follow these steps and you get to this place, doesn't work with the soul. But I didn't really have a backup plan or know, how do I do that? All I know is how to, go through this set process. And so the way that I now work with so many of my clients who are now finding themselves in jobs, careers that don't fit them anymore, and wanting to make a change, but not really knowing, not having another process. So what do you do if you don't know how to move forward in another direction? And so for me, what my guides always come in to tell my clients is follow your excitement, because your excitement is how your higher self communicates with you. So many of us, we want to hear the answer, like the voice of God booming in our head, Moses in the burning bush, but your soul tends to kind of whisper. And so one of the things that my guides always nudge me to, especially when I start getting a little lawyery and start demanding, what do I do? What direction do I go? Their first thing is, what excites you right now in the moment? Move toward that, because that is your higher self steering you in the direction of whatever that thing is. And as Corey mentioned, one thing that I learned about navigating myself toward my soul's path is that it doesn't always make sense to the mind. So your body may be pulling you to something, you may be getting nudged to go in a certain direction, but it might not make sense to your logical mind. And so one of the reasons for that is our intuition isn't logical. It's coming from a higher plane of existence, a higher dimension where we don't have linear time. So one thing that I notice in trying to move myself and help my clients move toward something that is aligned with their soul's path, is follow whatever you're drawn to, even if you don't know why you're drawn to it. And so one of the examples that I had of this is when I was going through my training, my clairvoyant training, I was feeling nudged to go and take Reiki, even though I didn't really consider myself a healer. And so I was like, well, why would I, go take this healing class? It didn't really make sense to me, but my friends were kind of pushing me to do it. And so I did it, even though it didn't make logical sense to my mind. But what happened is that class was bringing me another piece of the puzzle that helped me move into the direction I was supposed to be going. So my mind couldn't see what the connection was, but I followed that nudge from my intuition. So I always say, what are you being nudged to do? Even if you don't really understand it, maybe you're drawn to a particular person or a particular class, or you want to do something, but you don't know why you're drawn to it. That's how your intuition and your soul talks to you. So I always encourage my clients, look at what are you feeling, just kind of nudge to do. Because I loved what Yaila said about your body doesn't lie. Because when you're first starting to figure out how to listen to your soul, it can be kind of tricky to do. And you may be feeling like you're not getting clear guidance, you're not getting the answer when you ask in meditation. So what my guides always advise is, as Yaila said, listen to your body. Try something and then see how your body responds. Because if you're not getting clear messages, clear what you think are instructions from the universe as to what you should be doing, your body will give you that feedback. So I always encourage people, just start to try anything to get the energy moving. And then listen, what is the feedback you get from your body? Your body will tell you whether this resonates with you or whether maybe you can let this go, because you never quite know why you're being directed to a certain thing. You just have to kind of surrender and trust when you're trying to follow the instructions of your soul. So again, listening to your body can be really, really helpful. So for me, that's kind of the process I go through with my clients, is just moving toward what gives me energy, what is exciting, even if I don't understand why, and then just listening to your body to see how it responds to each step that you take. Because this is kind of like following the breadcrumbs. There is no set path that you can follow. You've got to kind of follow step by step, and then the universe gives you the next one. But it's going to wait to see if you're going to trust it and listen to what it's already telling you to do. So that's kind of how I move myself forward and how I'm helping my clients do that, because so many people want to know this right now. They want to know how to move into something that feels better, because so many people are just outgrowing their lives as they awaken, as they, start to want to live more in alignment with their soul. That I think this is a huge, huge question that people have.
So huge. And I love what both you ladies were saying, with your own journeys and how you connect with it. The energy is very subtle. And so, like Peyton was saying, like that little whisper, I just remember moving from like nutrition and health coaching into the spiritual path. I can look back now when I was younger, always being fascinated by metaphysical stuff. I thought it was just really intriguing and interesting. And I never thought that I'd be teaching classes on energy or even understanding energy for myself. But like those little breadcrumbs, those things that I had to kind of progress through. And like Corey was saying, our soul path, many times it's not just one main thing we're supposed to be doing. We have evolutions of what our path is going to look like, in different pieces of the path and different twists and turns of the path. And so that's the exciting part. And for your soul path, sure, you can make money. And I'm excited for this time in our life where we have so much more options at our fingertips as far as how to make money, how to create money, doing things that are feeling more in alignment to our soul. And if we give ourselves that curiosity to look at and try different things and start working on connecting with that intuition, I'm just excited to see what that opens up as far as possibility wise for people fully living on their soul path. So that's what I would add to that.
Beautiful. Corey, anything else jump out at you as to finding your soul path and navigating it?
No, I don't have really anything else. Just point yourself in a direction. What excites you? What's your passion? What's your dreams? Oh, I wish that I could do this. Or, when I grow up, I want to do that. And give it a try. And sometimes it is your soul path, and sometimes it's not. But my experience and the experience of my clients is that if it's not your soul path, it definitely gets you towards your soul path, because there's something in that interest that you learn that will click to get you on your soul path. It's really the only thing that I have left to say.
Absolutely. And a great way to do that can be going back to what you loved as a kid. It can just reconnect you with those things that used to just were fun to you, because we've forgotten how to have fun. And so when we try to find fun as an adult, we can easily, at least for me, feel like we've forgotten how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what feels fun. I have no idea. So finding anything that brings you joy, because then you're in a higher vibrational state and more information can come to you. So anything that feels good is a step in the right direction. So, well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We are so grateful to have you watching our videos. We will link all of our contact information at the bottom of the screen, so connect with us anytime. And we always appreciate your likes, your shares, your saves, and your follows, and any topic ideas that you have, because we have a video on almost every spiritual topic you can imagine. And if there's anything we haven't covered, let us know and we will get on that. We will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.